Here we see the class schedule for the San Diego Community College District. And notice all of the choices that you have utilize a drop-down list. When I click on the subject, we see a list of the subjects that are offered at all 3 colleges. Now, no one sat down and hand-coded all of that. That was generated from the database because we always need the most current up-to-date information. So here, if I were to choose Spring 2020, Mesa College and Accounting, and I click on the course, I will see all the accounting courses that are offered for that semester at that college. And this is being done by sending queries to the database, which I'm sure is very large with many, many tables. Now I am looking at a running shoe store, and they are not using drop-down lists, they are using checkboxes. However, we do have a few drop-down lists here where we can choose a sort order. We see that there are 349 results. All these numbers are coming out of the database. I can further query my selection by checking a certain brand, and notice the page refreshes, and I just see selections in that brand. And I can query with other categories also. All of these values that I am querying on already exist in the database, and I am just selecting a value for that category or column. First, we will learn how to populate the drop-down list. And as you see, I have my page loaded. I have the message to myself, the connection is successful, and the row count is 232. So there are 232 unique country codes in the city table in the World Database. And I can scroll down to the very end, and I can see them all. So let's take a look at our code. We have already learned how to create the connection string and to test the connection. Now we set up our SQL statement. So I have a select statement, and I am using the distinct keyword because I want to get only unique values, one value for each country code, from the city table. We learned about the distinct keyword in this class. You always want to check your SQL statement first in PHP MyAdmin to make sure that it is working and that you are getting the desired result set. Now I am going to use the prepare method of the connection object stored in a variable called $statement, and now I will execute $statement. We could have just used the query method of the connection object because we are not passing a parameter. You typically use the prepare method and the execute method when you have parameters. However, since you typically will have a parameter, it's just a good idea to always use the same procedure. And here I am testing with my echo statement for my row count. In the body of our page, we have the if statement, which will check to make sure that we do have at least one result being returned, and if so, we will create and populate our drop-down list. Similar to what we did when we populated the table, our for each loop is going to be looping through every record, and it will be returning the value based on which column name we specify. We are only specifying the country code column. So we are creating the HTML option tag, and we need to code in the value of the value attribute, which is coming from the database, $row in bracket country code. We need to concatenate that with our ending angle bracket. Now we concatenate that same value because that value will appear inside the option element. Then we close the option element. So we only need the for each loop for the option tags. So if we look at the view source, we can see the output of that for each loop. Here we have all of the option tags, the value is the country code, and the content between the opening and closing option tag is also the country code. But if you look at this code, we also need the form tag, we need the label element, we need the first option value, we need the ending select tag, We need the input type equals submit, and we need the ending for element. They do not come from the for each loop, and they do not belong inside the for each loop. The for each loop will only be used to retrieve the values from the database. So on top of our for each loop, we will just use echo statements to place our form element, our label element, our opening select tag, and our opening value element on the page. Next, we are setting up our fetch all method, which is used in our for each loop. At the end of the for each loop, we have 3 echo statements, one to end the select list, one to place the submit button on the page, and one to end the form. Notice that I have my PHP special characters so that my source code looks good. In our if condition, if we have at least one row, if the row count is not equal to 0, we will write all of this form code on the page. Else, I have an echo saying, sorry, there are no results. The echo is mainly there to test the if. In reality, you would just not show that element. At the end, we close the connection. I would like to point out that the action of the form is $_server PHP_self, because we will be posting this form back to itself here on the same page. If you're not sure of the HTML, you can hard code it in first so you know how everything will look, and then you can use that sample to construct your PHP statements. I would like to point out that you may encounter quotations within your echo statement, so make sure they are being alternated or you will receive an error message.